Welcome to Living a Life by Design. It's the journey back to you and living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. Did you know your accountability and possibility is by design? God designed a phenomenal life for you, gave you the gift of choice. Esther helps empower you to discover and pursue the purpose that is already in you. Are you ready to look at yourself and see your future? Then get back to what is really important in life and get in alignment with your true self. Stay tuned to Living a Life by Design. Journey back to you and start living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. It all starts now.
Hello, everyone. I'm so super excited that you made the choice to join me today in the Life by Design podcast. It is truly the journey back to you. I'm so excited to have my very special guest today, Dr. Obioma Martin. Dr. Obioma and I met a couple during the pandemic on a wonderful campus, which we both had the same executive coach and doing all of these things together. And what's also wonderful about Dr. Obioma, so y'all, if you hear me call her Obi, because this is my friend. And so sometimes you're going to hear me say, listen, Obi, I'm trying to be, professional and official here, but this is Obi, I'm Esther. Right. And so we're in the same field and the same background of early childhood education. And in everything, what I have found with her, in everything that she puts her mind to do, she does it. I love her story because when we first met, she began to share her story, and her story is just so phenomenal. And I'm sure today, as we talk about leadership and resilience, she's going to be, intertwining, is that the word? Telling
Yes.
you a little bit about her story, because this is a woman right here, y'all, that is in leadership in every area of her life. And when I say every area, you guys know the Life by Design covers all area. It's our spiritual, it's our professional, it's entrepreneurship, it's family, it's relationships, it's health, and it's everything. Well, it's everything, because that's really how God wants us to live. He wants us to be a whole person. He wants us to be a whole woman. He wants us to be a whole man, a whole human being, let's say. And so what I have found with Obi is that she is that in leadership. Her story is phenomenal. And can I tell y'all, when she comes and when she brings it, she brings it. So I just want you to be prepared for the next, let's say 45 minutes or so, with a powerful conversation on leadership and resilience. And let me give this other caveat. I don't know about you guys today, but I need to hear about resilience. My word for the year is resilience, right? That's my word. I'm going to define it real quick. Resilience is, I said, let me just get the official definition, because I know what it means for me, but I know that some of you need the official definition. And so the official definition is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulty and toughness. Woo! And the other part is to spring back into shape. That just to get back up. We often in early childhood, we say kids are resilient because they have the capacity to bounce back. And what happens many times is when we get older, and especially when we are in leadership, right? We don't bounce back as quick because our resilience isn't, And so here it is. What I'm finding out, when I first had my word for resilience for the year, that one word, because that's the word I was going, I'm resilient. And then this past week and a half, it's like, woo, I'm really living. Whoa, I'm really living back that resilience right now. But so powerful because there's so many things you can learn from that. So I just want to introduce to all of you guys my friend, Dr. Obioma Martin. Obioma, reintroduce yourself and
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Dr. Esther, for that amazing introduction. Well, listen, I'm super excited for the opportunity to share and talk about the topic that I absolutely live and breathe. And to the listening audience, I am Dr. Obiama Martin, also known as Amazing, because that is what I choose to be. That is what I choose to
amen.
be. And in leadership, it really is a choice. So here's something, because I got to jump right in, right? Here is something that it is kind of like, Esther, this I went from having an unconscious competence to a conscious competent as it relates to our choices. Now, as a leader, we have choices, and the choices are a buffet. And so when things show up in our lives, when things show up on the job, you know, ministry, family, whatever, when it shows up, we have a choice. We always have a choice. But this is what became so crystal clear to me this week, because I also had an interesting week. And what I realized is that this unconscious competent, while I know that we're always tested and tried,
Yeah.
that which we put out, literally we're tested and tried on, because it's like, oh, that's what you telling people, oh, that's what you putting in the atmosphere. Well, let's just see if you are who you say you are, or are you
Mm.
just saying it. Like, are you walking the walk?
Yeah, that's
And
it. That's
so
it.
it's really important, because as a leader, we always have to take the high road. No
Yeah.
matter what, we always have to take the high
Yeah.
road, and we have to be accountable, right? So being a leader isn't about dictatorship. It's
That's
really
right.
about showing the way, and you being the first partaker of it.
Can you
Because
say that again?
yeah,
Showing
you
the
being
way.
showing the
Yeah.
way, and you being the first partaker of it.
Yeah.
So when I was a director, for example, I would always say to the staff, I'm not going to ask you to do anything I wouldn't do. So if I'm cleaning toilets, I expect you to clean toilets. If I got to go in this kitchen and make a meal because I'm short staffed, I expect you to go in the kitchen and make a meal.
So
So
let me
same
just stop. So y'all, when she's talking about being a director, she's talking about in an early childhood environment.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, no, you're good. No, this is
Yes,
good. This
in the
is
early
good.
child environment. But even in ministry, in ministry, one of the
Everything.
things that I learned early on, Esther, in ministry was that I had a pastor that said, you can't lead until you know how to clean the toilet. Right. So for me, it was everything starts in the bathroom, because that's humbling. Cleaning
Very.
toilets is humbling. Okay. There's nothing sexy or fun or glorious about cleaning a toilet.
So true. So
you,
true.
you know what I mean? But that's really where leadership start, because it's about the team and not you. It's not about what you want or what you need. It's about the whole big picture of the decision that I make in this moment is going to impact the whole team or everybody that I'm connected to and everybody I serve. So, to go a little deeper, this was the unconscious competence and conscious competence that came to me this week.
Yeah.
So, for every emotion that we have, that emotion has cousins.
I love it. That's cousin. I love that. Yeah.
Every emotion has cousins. It's a
Yeah.
family of them. And I come to understand that, just like when you were younger, you may have gotten to a fight and you said, I'm going to get my sisters. Or you may say, I'm going to get my whoever, because you had backup. Well, the emotion that we choose has backup. So here's an example. When we choose fear as a leader, the cousins that show up with fear is frustration,
Yeah.
irritation,
Yeah.
agitation,
Yeah.
anger, hostility, pettiness, bitterness, distraction, cattiness, right? Look, 9 family members
Ooh, that's
showed up
good.
with fear. 9 family members, right? Now, as a leader, though, if you choose peace, peace got cousins too. We got calm, we have certainty, we have
Mm,
trust, right? We have um a knowing, right? There's a knowing. We have compassion, we have kindness, we have empathy,
yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have grace and mercy.
Yeah.
So peace got 9 cousins too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you're saying because, you know, they show up. They don't come by themselves. And so you get to choose how you're going to handle each one, as you say, the cousins. And so have you ever been like in a leadership position to where it's like, I know for me this week, I was like, and I just had to pull up, right, that calmness and peace and not react, because the leader has to show the example, even sometimes when you're speaking to another leader. Let me just stop you for just 1 second before we go into this. So hold that thought, because we're
Okay.
about to go on a quick break. It goes by fast. It goes by fast, y'all, when it is juicy, juicy, good conversation. So we're going to take a quick break. If you don't have your pen, your pad, your piece of paper, go get it right now so you can write this down, because she just gave the cousins to fear. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And the cousins to what? Peace.
Peace. Yes.
Peace. So real quick, we've got about 30 seconds. Give us the cousins to fear again and then to peace.
Sure. So agitation,
Mhm.
irritation, hostility, rage, anger, pettiness, distraction, frustration, right? And the cattiness. That's 9 for fear.
Yeah.
Peace, peace, you have calm, you have certainty, you have grace, you have mercy, right? You have this knowing, there is compassion, right?
Yeah.
You're nice, right?
Yeah.
You are,
Easy to
there's
get
a
along with.
grace. Yeah, you're easy to get along with because
Yeah.
it's peace. You are a peacemaker. And
Yeah.
so, being a peacemaker, you're not looking to serve yourself, you're looking to make sure everybody else is good because you on Operation Peace, protect my peace.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. We are about to go on a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to deep dive
Oh,
more
yeah.
to what we're talking about, because this is just so juicy, y'all. As I think about my week, I'm looking at, and when you saw my head down, everybody, I was writing down the notes myself. Peace. What is peace? Certainty, calm, mercy, grace. This is peace. And when you're in fear, this is how your pettiness. Oh my gosh, that pettiness, why? So I love it. These are things that leaders need to know if we're going to lift as we rise in
Yes.
leadership. So I'll see you
Yes.
back in a few seconds. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Life by Design podcast, The Journey Back to You. I have to tell y'all that behind the scenes, like while we were in the commercial break, we were having a juicy conversation. So I'm going to let you in on a little of that conversation. And so one of the things I said to Dr. Obioma is, I'm first of all, I'm a very transparent person. So I share because I believe if I'm struggling or I'm happy, I just like y'all to know, because you're not alone in your journey, this journey called life. And so I remember earlier I said I had a really difficult week. And so as we're talking, I said, I was faced with this situation, one leader to another leader. And I just really had to, when I looked back, if this would have happened to me years ago, I would have popped off and boom, boom, boom. But I was able to sit there and just listen and just, process and say, you know what? This is where we are right now. And so let's just leave it there. In other words, I made the decision, right, to be in peace and not fake about it. And now I'm not saying I'm not disturbed by the situation. I would be lying to you if I told you that. That's not the truth. But this is what I was sharing with her, how perfect this conversation is, because so many leaders, wherever you are in leadership, it could be in your home. Many times we think, oh, we're not. No, it could be in your home, right? Wherever you are on the job, wherever you are in leadership, right? We're all going through some things to where we're finding that we have a choice. And so we have to now build our resilience muscle. But this is something Dr. Obi said. I got to put my glasses on because I can't read without them. She says resilience show up when you can pause. Resilience show up when you can pause. Sila, take a break. Take a deep breath. Let's talk about that. Come on, because she went into sharing with me. Let's go ahead, doctor. Go ahead.
So here's the thing. The absence of pausing does not allow you to process. So, in order for you to be resilient, in order for you to bounce back, there has to be a pause. There has to be your ability to say lie and say, okay, what's going on internally? So, remember before the break, I talked about choosing the emotion. So,
Yeah.
if on the inside of you, you're feeling angry. So, let me tell you what happened to me on yesterday. Perfect
Love it. Real
example.
life story. Yeah.
Real life story. Yesterday, I am in my car waiting to pick up my friend. And this young lady, now I have a brand new car, a 23 brand new car. Just got the car on May 9th. This young lady decides to park her car. She had plenty enough space, but she was on top of my car. Literally pushing my parked car. And I started beeping the horn to get her attention, like you're on my car, you're pushing it with your car. And so she kept coming back. So I get out the car and I said, ma'am, you're pushing my car. And she looks back, she's on the phone, she looks back and she says, well, the spot is tight. Ladies, gentlemen, she had so much room in the front. Clearly, she didn't know how to park that car. And so I never raised my voice. I just smiled and said, you're still on my car. She moved an inch. I cannot make this up. She moved an inch. I get back in my car. She gets out the car. She walks around and she says, do you know that you have a lot of space behind you? And I said, do you know you have a lot of space in front of you? And I
Mm.
got back in my car because at that moment, my blood was boiling. Okay. I need you guys to understand. And so at that moment,
You
I
saw
paused.
fire. You saw fire.
In that moment, I paused and I got back in my car because I was so cute. I had on a dress, my cute little sandals, and I text my friend and I said, we need to go because this lady has parked on top of my car and I'm not dressed for this. Because she was a big girl. She was a young girl. She looked like she was probably between 22, 28 or whatever. Big girl.
Right.
I would have had to take her out. What flashed in front of me was my everything. I'm on my way to happening. I'm on my way to destiny. Ain't nobody got time to be messing around with no little girl. She's a little girl.
Yeah, yeah.
If I didn't have the ability to pause and to think, I could have had an exchange with her.
Yeah.
On top of that, as I'm sitting in my car, this little boy, now he's no more than 22, comes and knock on my window. I roll the window down. He says, I understand you need help getting out your parking spot. I smiled and said, no, thank you. I'm okay. So by this point, I see my friend, and my friend is like, they just kids. I know their parents. They just kids. I'll talk to their parents. And what was really important is that I chose peace because I could have chose confrontation.
Yeah.
I could have allowed what was happening internally,
Yeah.
which was the audacity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm beeping the horn and you still proceeds to back your car up on my car. The audacity. But I didn't allow any of that to come forth. You know why? Because I'm on my way to happening. I'm
Yeah.
on my way to destiny. I'm on my way to bigger and better. So I was able to pause and to pivot. And I was able to pivot by getting in my car, closing my door, rolling
Yeah.
up my windows, and saying to my friend, it's time to go
Yeah.
because I'm angry.
Yeah.
And I'm angry because I know that if I would have responded, it could have went so many ways, and would it have been worth it?
Yeah, yeah. What I
Right?
love about what you're saying, and honestly, just sharing a very relevant real life story, because many times, we hear people talk about leadership and resilience. And first of all, leadership begins from within, it begins with us first. And so, and we can't teach what we don't do. At least that's my belief. If I'm teaching this, I'm walking the walk. If I'm talking it, I'm walking the walk. I don't, I talk about my experiences and what I do exactly. And so one of the things, what's really great about this story is that you're showing a real life situation that, by the way, many of us face every day in different circumstances. And what you're showing is that how you've put what you teach into operation, to where you had, because if you didn't do that, then you could have a whole other reaction, which would not even bring you the results that you want. I always talk about E plus O equals R, right? In other words, the event happened, right? Then our reaction, I guess, is E plus R, and then the results, right? Right. And so we have the event, and how we react to the event determines the results. Does that make sense? And so that's exactly what you've done. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Keep
Well,
talking.
so yeah, yeah. So the thing about it though is if I would have responded
Yeah.
to her, then she would have responded, and
Yes.
then she would have responded off of the energy that was on the inside of me. And I don't know how which way that could have went, because she's a child. She really is a child. Even though she was a big girl driving the car, she was a child. So
Yeah.
any way that I would have responded, I would have been wrong.
Yeah.
I would have been wrong. I would have been wrong because I knew better and I teach better. So, what kind of example would I have been showing? And then the other thing, what kind of witness?
Yeah.
What kind of witness?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, my silence hopefully allowed her to see, like, you could have handled that a little differently, even though she didn't move her car. Like, she was very close to my car, but clearly, here's the, because it's all in how you see it. She also clearly didn't have the capacity to park the car.
Yeah.
So could it be that she parked the car the best way she knew how?
Could it be? That's right.
Could it be?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where grace shows up. That's where mercy shows up,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I think many times when we're in situations, when we're faced unexpected situations like that, it really does test who you are and what your reaction is going to be, right? Or is. It really does test, because I think many times, and we're in a role, especially when we're doing things, we're coaching, we're mentors, we're motivators, we're teaching, we're all these different things. We're teaching people how to be, to be strong and to be powerful, to be in leadership and to be all of these things. But sometimes you get that test unexpected, right? Unexpected, kind of like when you walk into school and the teacher says, "Oh, you got a quiz," and you're like, "Whoa, I didn't have a chance to study." Exactly. Because the quiz really is what you have learned all this time that you've been in the class on the inside. And so I even found with myself on this week that here it is, an unexpected quiz, an unexpected test. How are you going to react, Esther? What are you going to say? What are you not going to say? And making sure that I'm very clear. And so when I'm able to walk out of the meeting, that or that conference or whatever it is, that I could walk out with a clear conscience. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I think
Absolutely.
the test of leadership. Now don't get me wrong. Now afterwards, I may be upset, I may be all these different things, but that's in the privacy of my home. In other
Yes.
words, I did not
Lash
react.
out. Right.
I didn't lash out. I didn't react. It didn't matter what you say to me. For
Right.
me, I said, well,
You
I
didn't
guess
raise your voice. You didn't
raise my
embarrass
voice.
the
I
person.
didn't
You
embarrass.
didn't
I just
shame
I
them.
left them in their dignity. I think that's
Yes.
very important. You leave
Yes.
a person in their dignity. And
Yes.
so for me, it's the being able to just say, okay, I would be lying to you. I wouldn't be telling the truth if I told you I wasn't upset. I was hot, but here it is. I was able to temper that. And afterwards, and even as I go through and process everything that's happened, the one thing I could say is like, at least I had the right reaction. I set the example. Whether you receive it or not, that's really not on me. See, I am a
Hmm.
firm believer that my job is to set the example, but I'm responsible for my action and my reaction, but I can't be responsible for yours.
And at the end of the day, as a leader, nobody is going to hold us responsible for somebody else's reaction. We're only going to be held responsible for our reaction. We're going to be held responsible for how we show up
Yeah.
and what we say when we show up and what we do when we show up.
Yeah. Good, good. That's good stuff. We're going to take a break, y'all. And I didn't realize it was time for a break. So, because the conversation was just so good and so juicy. So, let's come back. Let's give you a quick break. Go get your notes and pad. You need to do a liquid exchange. In other words, go use the restroom, get your water, and come back and join us for another segment of a powerful, juicy conversation on leadership and resiliency. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back with my special guest, Dr. Obioma Martin. So let's continue our conversation in leadership and resiliency, building that bounce back muscle, being able to stand the test in the most toughest time and coming out smelling good, or at least feeling somewhat good. In other words, you didn't snap, you didn't go off, you didn't do anything. You said, oh, this is it. Listen, I did my success jam this week, and Deborah Bradley was talking about the curveball. As a leader, you got to be able to take the curveballs and duck and just this is what we're talking about. This is going even a little bit more deeper into resiliency. So talk to us, Dr. Obi.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. When I think about resiliency, I definitely can look at so many stages and phases of my life. I mean, I remember a time, Esther, oh my God, I remember a time when in my night activity, however you say the word, um, I can remember being in my master's program, and there was another organization that provided similar services that I did. They were a nonprofit organization, and the executive director, she retired, but she was a beast. Like, she was a beast. I mean, like, powerful negotiator and a real advocate for children and families. Big on public policy and and all the things, but she was a force to be reckoned with, and she didn't play fair. And at that time, I didn't know how to play in a sandbox.
Yeah.
And so, as a leader, because I had my own establishment, I had my own brick and mortar training organization, like she did too, but it was mine. I wasn't an executive director, like you still had a board to
Yeah.
report to. So, she ended up this was someone who I had looked up to, and I was in my master's program, and she taught the finance class in my master program. And so we're having a conversation, and Esther, she said, Obiama, I think you should come work for me. And I said, thank you, but no thank you. We are too much alike. It would never work. And we were. And I'm like, it would never work. And she said, really, why? I said, because I need my freedom. And if I come to work for you, there's all these disclosures of things that I can't do. And one of the things that I enjoy about being self employed and being the CEO of my own thing is I get to do what I want. And I get
Yeah.
to work with who I want when I want. No, thank you. Well, Esther, she made it her personal commitment, mission, whatever, to shut me down and silence my voice. She
Mm.
went after every contract that I had, and she went, and she didn't come alone. She came with backup.
I was about to say she brought a group with her,
She
right?
brought a group
Yeah.
with her. I mean, a conglomerate of other organizations
Yeah.
to dismantle me, to defame my character, to say that I was not eligible or I didn't have the right credentials, educational experience to lead or teach anybody anything. This was around 2000. This was around 2013 because I had just had Zion and I went right into my master's program. I had him April 2012. So I know it was around 2013. And so and at that time I had two big contracts with two different schools. And so the one school, because money talks sometimes more than revelation and relationship, and it is what it is. And so they went strong to the school district and was like, she's not qualified. I didn't have a master's degree at that time. I was in my master's program, but I was doing the work, had the experience along with the evidence and the results
Yes.
of my impact. And so they stopped the contract. Not only did they stop the contract, so let me give you guys the full picture of what's going on. So not only do I have her and her cousins, right, and all her people, there was another young lady who came to me who was in a really bad situation. She had her master's, she was an independent trainer and consultant. I brought her on to my organization as an independent contractor, had her sign a non-disclosure statements, all of that, all of that. The school district came to me and said, we want to hire you $80,000 a year to teach this program. And I said, no, thank you. However, I have somebody else. I say to the young lady, I'm going to put a good word in for you. Just don't touch my contract.
Yes.
Do you know, as soon, I mean, the first week this girl got hired, the first thing she did was told them, you don't need Obioma. I got you. I can do it all. So I got this group and her all at the same time. All at the same time. And I said, what is this? What is this? This is interesting. So I confront her and she was like, yeah, and I don't want to be associated with you no more. I mean, totally flipped everything. And I was like, what devil is this? Oh my goodness. So you got to be careful who you help because they might turn around and bite you. And then the other organization, so I end up losing a contract because it was more of them than
You.
there were with me. So be it, but it was God's will. That's how I look at it because it's all in how you see it. It still worked together for my good. So then the other school that I was working with said, I'll take your money, but if Obioma not doing the training, I'm not taking the money. And so they didn't get the money because they didn't want them to train with me. And so then on top of that, all of my independent contractors, they made a pact with them and said, we're gonna give you a contract, but you can't work with Obioma. Talk
You had
about
all of the
resiliency.
odds. You had everything piled up against you. How did you bounce back? How did resilience come into play?
So I was just like, I have nothing to prove, nothing to hide. What's for me is for me. I chose peace. I chose to trust in God, and I didn't back down. And I stood my ground, and I was just like, oh, well, here's the thing though, leaving people in dignity. That young lady, I never said nothing. I didn't tell nobody. She was in the street, y'all, telling everybody what she did to me like it was a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I was like, what kind of foolishness is this? Like a badge of honor. And then the other young lady just was like, oh, Obiama, it's really not like that, as if I had on rose colored glasses. And I just said, okay, no problem. I allowed it to be what it was going to be, because what I understood was that God really does fight my battles. And revenge and vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Like, that was really my scripture at the time. And I just was like, God, you got it. You got it. I there's nothing I need to do. You got it. And I trust that you going to handle it. And he did. He did. He absolutely did. And so while the one contract I lost, I was able to make that money up doing some other stuff. So it was no love lost. And then the people who decided that they didn't want to, work with me or whatever, I got another contract with a whole separate different organization that was like three times what I lost, just because I was unmovable. So I was able to be resilient by not fighting back.
Yes.
I didn't fight back. Because my trust and my hope was that God got me. Like, that was just my God got me.
So before we go on a break, what I hear you saying is that your resilience was just sometimes was just being quiet
Yes.
and really trusting in God. In other words, trusting in a higher power, not even relying on yourself. And
Yes.
sometimes that is the resilience piece. That's
Yeah.
the toughness. That's the bounce back. It's just not saying, the old people used to say they probably, I don't know, in the old days, it all comes out in the wash. Have you ever
It
heard that?
does. It does.
The truth
It
always
really
prevails.
does.
The truth always prevails. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. Welcome back to Life by Design, the journey back to you. Again, I'm here with my special guest, Dr. Obioma Martin. And Obioma, Obi, as I like to call her, is going to share 3 steps that no matter where you are in life today, in leadership or anything, that you can really begin to build your resilience muscle. So go ahead, Obi.
Yeah. So this is my P factor, and my P factor has many P's to it. But no matter where you are, it's power in your pause. That's step number one. The practicing of pausing and really just tapping into you. What's going on with you?
Yeah.
And being able to identify the emotion that you are feeling. Like, what's going on? Not like, how we say, somebody say, are you okay? You say, yeah, I'm okay, or everything's good, but you don't really speak to the emotion. Like, are you are you feeling anxious? Are you overwhelmed? Are you angry? Are you hot? Like, what is that emotion? What's going on? Are you feeling betrayed? Are you feeling um like, are you feeling violated? Right? Because the violation isn't always somebody physically touching you. The violation is somebody lying on you, or somebody crossing the boundaries that you put in place. Like, that's a violation. And so being able to just pause to say, okay, how am I feeling? And then take a temperature on what's going on around you, like really being able to assess the energy that's around you. Okay, I know how I'm feeling, and being able to assess the energy around you. So, the example that I used with the car yesterday, the energy around me wasn't hostile, nor was it confrontational, nor was it angry, because she didn't want anything. In terms of, if I would have came off angry, like, she really was calm, even though she was a little disoriented with the fact that she was on my car. She was still calm. She
So
didn't raise
that's
her
power
voice.
in your pause.
Power in your pulse.
Power in your pause. Yeah. What's number 2?
Yes. Number two is processing.
Ooh, yeah. So
Processing. Before you react, you have to process. You have to process. And you have to process so that when you respond, you are responding in wisdom and not from your emotion, because your
So
emotion
important.
can
So
deceive you.
important. Yeah. Yeah. So did you all hear that? You have to respond from wisdom and not your emotions,
Yes.
because your emotions can deceive you and will. Can I
Yes.
add? Will
Yes.
deceive you. What's number 3? Powerful.
Now,
It's good.
depending on who you are, because I am a woman of faith, my number 3 is prayer. My
Yeah.
number 3
Mine
is
is too.
to
Mine is
pray,
too. Yeah.
right? But for those of you who that's not an option, then I say prepare or plan or pursue or pivot. Like, you get to choose your P.
Yeah. I
You
love
you
that you get to choose your P, y'all. That's good. You
yeah,
can play, you can prepare, you can pivot. You can plan.
you
You
can
get to
pursue.
choose.
Yeah,
You
you
can
get to
pursue.
choose.
You get to choose. It's your choice how
It's
you
your
react
choice.
to get the
Yes.
results that not what they want, but what you want. I
Right.
love it. Yeah, good. So now tell us, how can they reach you? How can everyone that's listening, they're going to be listening on the replay, they're listening on YouTube and on Transformation Talk Radio, they're listening everywhere. And it may be the replay. How can they reach you?
Absolutely. Omazingyou.com, OMAZINGYOU.com. And I am everywhere on Facebook, Obioma Martin, on Instagram, I am Obioma Martin, on LinkedIn, Obioma Martin. And so you can reach me on any of those platforms.
Well, that was fast. She said you can reach me on it. Make sure y'all, so much good information. Obioma has a community called Breathe, where she really does focus on taking those pauses
Yes.
before you react. She's very involved in your mental health, and so it's an excellent community to join. She has an amazing day. I'm going to talk about you, since you seem to not be wanting to talk about you.
Oh my goodness. So, yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. Leaders do need to learn how to breathe, right? So I have a breathe e-course. I have a breathe e-course. So you guys, you go to amazingyou.com, and I have a free gift. So as soon as you go to amazingyou.com, you get my free The Power in Your Pause
The
ebook
power.
and master course
Yeah.
for free, because I love you that much. Because I love
All
you that
right.
much.
You guys
Yeah.
hear that? You get the power in your paws for free. So make sure, how can they get it again?
Go to amazingyou.com. There's going to be a pop-up that says, give us your information for your free ebook,
Awesome. Awesome.
Power in Your Paws.
Power in your paws. So important. This conversation is so powerful because there's leadership and resilience. I think that sometimes we don't realize how resilient we are as leadership. And I told you at the beginning of this podcast that my word for the year is resilience. And I'm not sure why I really picked that word. I was thinking about it. Every year I pick a word so I can learn from. And sometimes you go through some things to where why I could build my resilience muscle. And I've always been a person, I believe, that can bounce back quickly and whatever. But I think part of this is, as I bounce back, I want to make sure that I'm in the right state of mind,
Yes.
that I'm processing,
Yes.
that I am pausing, I'm taking my deep breaths, and I'm analyzing exactly
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. And I'm learning something from all of this so I can continue to move forward. And so that's what I love about leadership and resiliency. That's what I love, honestly, about what you do in terms of just building people up and saying, listen, we could do this, we got this, we can do this. So great. I'm so privileged and honored that Dr. Obi said she's very busy, y'all, and so I had to say, hey, can you do this? So make sure that if you're interested, you want to connect some more, you want to find out some more, make sure you don't waste any time in reaching out. Just one other information I want to give you: my Life by Design, my Festa della Donna soiree is coming up in July. It is July 21st and 22nd in Atlanta, Georgia. Listen, the early bird is about to end, where you can save $100. And a penny earned, a penny saved is what? a
A
penny
penny earned.
earned, right? Obioma has come to my soiree
Yes.
twice. I believe you've enjoyed it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Every time.
Every time. And this time we are focusing on women in leadership, high level thinking women. And it is not for the masses. This soiree is not for the masses. It's a small group. Why? Because we want to be able to touch everyone that's coming in, and let's go to the level of making history. Let's go to
Yes.
the level of leaving a legacy. Not Let's not sit at the table, but let us be the head of the table in
Yes.
speaking about resiliency, finances, health, wealth, and everything. My special guest is my co-host is Alicia Houston. My special guest is Duquesa Dean and Deborah Bradley. And so I hope that you join me. Check out my websites, all of it. The link is right there. And as I close, please check out Dr. Obioma Martin. She's got a lot going on. She's not going to be at the soiree this year. Why? Because she's out somewhere else, y'all.
That's right. Have my own retreat. Yep. Yep.
Got her retreat coming up. So make sure that you check her out. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time to
you.
join me, for joining Dr. Obi, and for just coming on. Even if you're watching the replay, we appreciate you so much. Do you have any other closing words, Dr. Obi, before we sign off?
Absolutely. Remember, in all that you do, breathe intentional. And that means don't allow anybody to suffocate your voice. So remember to breathe on schedule. Have a great, fantastic rest of your day.
Have a great, fantastic rest of your day. Take care. God bless you. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Living a Life by Design, the journey back to you, and living 365 days of purpose with host Esther Graham. Listen or watch live every second and fourth Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Discover that what is possible is already in you. God designed a phenomenal life for you. Esther helps you ignite that energy behind your personal journey for a deeper joy and peace, living 365 days of purpose. For more information on living a life by design, visit fddwomen.com.